What is up, Revivalists? How's it going? It's Simon here from CD Revival, and today I'm going to do the next part from my CD collection video. We're up to P now, so started off doing my Prince discography, reviews, ranking, etc. So I did his first album the other day. I'll be doing those for the next few weeks, well, probably months to be honest with you, because there's a bunch of them. But anyway, regardless of that, we're going to do some of my P's. So starting off with the first row basically of my stuff beginning with P. The band Pink Floyd will start that off. So we'll start off with their first album, which I got, which is The Piper at the Gates of Dawn. It's pretty much the only one with like Syd Barrett doing like vocals and guitar for the most part. Really cool album, but a lot different to a lot of the stuff they did after that and what they turned into. This one's really psychedelic and sort of 60s and trippy and all the rest of it. And yeah, one of my favourite albums of theirs, to be honest with you. So it is very different to most of the other stuff that they've done. It's got a very different sound to it. Key tracks on this, my favourite ones, things like obviously the famous Astronomy Domine, Interstellar Overdrive is really cool. I've had things like The Gnome, Scarecrow, Bikes, really cool and funny. I think it originally came out in 1968. This is the remastered version. But yeah, if you like, you know, trippy, psychedelic 60s music, first album, definitely a lot different to their most famous stuff, but really good album, really do enjoy that a lot. So I haven't got all of their albums, but these are like my favourite ones of theirs I have got, which is a few. This one, Atom Heart Mother, I think this might have been the third album, but I'm not overly sure. Obviously the cow motif throughout. Another, not quite as sort of psychedelic as the first one. It's a bit more instrumental, a bit more out there. The Atom Heart Mother Suite, that goes on for like 23 minutes or something. Fat Old Son's a really good track off of here. Dave Gilmour had joined the band by this point, taking over from Syd Barrett, who sort of lost his mind unfortunately. It's got the famous song Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast on there, which has got you hear the sounds of one of the roadies cooking his breakfast in the air. So it's a pretty trippy album, to be honest with you, pretty good. I say not my favourite, but it's shows you where they were sort of going, and it is a good album. Next one I've got of theirs is Medal. This is a really good album. This is when they started to really, for me, hit their stride. Some excellent tunes on this one, and things like One of These Days. Pillar of Winds is pretty good, like sort of mellow one. Fearless is probably one of my favourites on here. Echoes, like really long, 20 odd minute song on that one as well. So they're probably the key tracks for me on there. Fearless is probably my favourite, I think, but Echoes is really good also. It's a seminal track by them. So that's Medal. Then we have got, obviously, everyone knows Dark Side of the Moon. Originally came out in March 1973. This is like a digipack version, obviously. Lots of classic tracks on here. Time, Great Gig in the Sky, Money, obviously, and even things like, Breathe in the Air, Brain Damage, Us and Them. Just a classic album start to finish. If you've not heard this, then you've not heard one of the most famous and best albums of all time. But yeah, remastered version. This one's the 2011 remaster, but yeah, really good, obviously. The album that followed that, Wish You Were Here, possibly my favourite of theirs. I think it does vary. Just an excellent album. Not sure if it's got all the original, the classic artwork of like the man shaking hands with the burning man, etc., which apparently they did actually do. But yeah, classic tracks on here. Shine On You Crazy Diamond Part 1 and 2, Welcome to the Machine, Have a Cigar, the title track. They're the only tracks on there, but they're all amazing. So really superb album. Animals, which is the album that came after that. Cracks were starting to appear in Pink Floyd by this point. This is a lot more Roger Waters based, this one, but still a good album, but a lot darker. But yeah, it's still a good album. 1977 originally this one came out. Dogs is probably my favourite track on here, which is the only one that wasn't completely written by Roger Waters. Dave Gilmour co-wrote Dogs with him. Pigs is a good track, 3 different ones. Sheep, not so keen on that. Pigs on the Wing, they're a bit throwaway. So only 5 tracks on it, but they're all fairly lengthy, apart from the Pigs on the Wings. But yeah, a good album, but yeah, it is a good album. And then last one I have by them is The Wall, double CD, classic concept album. This is the Fat Box edition, and there's a few different versions of this. This is like a double CD. But yeah, lots of classic tracks on it, like The Brick in the Walls, obviously, Comfortably Numb. Yeah, just a load of really... there's a lot of stuff on here. It does take quite a while to get into, and it is a little bit depressing. But yeah, it is a good album as a whole, really. Hey You's a really good track. Run Like Hell. I even like The Trial, man, which is, you know, quite a sort of crazy sort of track near the end. But yeah, classic album. This is the last one I've got from them. Final Cut, I'm not a great fan of. And the stuff even since Roger Waters left, like the Division Bell and Momentary Lapse of Reason, they leave me a little bit cold. They're not particularly inspiring for me to listen to. I think they're a bit dull, and I get sort of a few tracks in and I think, oh, that'll do, because, you know, I'm really bored now. So they're for me the essential albums of Pink Floyd, and they're the ones that I've got. So slightly changed in tack now. The band Poison, glam metal band from the mid to late 80s, early 90s. They do Divide Opinion, and they did at the time, and I think they still probably do. But yeah, I think they were a cool band. Did really enjoy them at the time. Really catchy vocals. Obviously, they did look a bit of a state, as you can see here from their first album. Look What the Cat Dragged In. Super glam, you know. If you were, you know, a few sheets to the wind, you might, you know, try and chat them up on a night out. You never know. But you might, I wouldn't. But anyway, great album. Their first album for me is probably my favourite of theirs. Some excellent tracks on it. Cry Tough, I think, was the first single. You've got the classic single Talk Dirty to Me as well. I Won't Forget You. I Want Action. Look What the Cat Dragged In. The title tracks are probably their best track ever. Want Some, Need Some, Blame It On You. It's, you know, start to finish, it's a good party album. Sounds really good, and yeah, it's just a good time rock and roll album. Really do. Still to this day enjoy listening to this. This came out, let's see if we can get a date. Yeah, 1986 or 1996. It wasn't 96 because obviously that was way too late. Yeah, 1986. The remastered version, which is this one, is the 1996 version. Anyway, good album, really classic, and you know, I won't hear a word against them really, apart from they do look dodgy. Second album, Open Up and Say Ah. Censored cover because, you know, a tiger lady with her tongue sticking out, can't see that. You're not allowed to see that. I never understood why they censored the album cover. For the life of me, it was like, I used to have the picture disc vinyl of this actually. Yeah, no, you're not even there. Hasn't even got it inside. Yeah, I used to have the picture disc vinyl, which was uncensored, but you know, probably my least favourite of their albums, if I'm being quite honest with you. But it has got some good tracks on it. Obviously, Every Rose Has Its Thorn is a classic track that everyone knows. Nothing But a Good Time was the original single. Things like Good Love, Love on the Rocks, A Little Bit You Can't Touch. They're all good tracks, man. It's say not a bad album. Probably the best selling one. I don't know actually, but yeah, still a good one, but not my favourite. Flesh and Blood, which was the third one. A bit more of a mature sound on this, if you can call it that, I guess. A longer album as well. I remember got this pretty much, and then like was on holiday in Spain and listened to this all the time, so I've got good memories of it from that. Just some really cool tracks: Valley of Lost Souls, Flesh and Blood, Sacrifice, and Skinny Bob. They're all like real bangers, I think. Let It Play. yeah, Life Loves a Tragedy. It's got some good songs on it, man. Life Goes On is a good ballad as well. Yeah, I don't know. I think this is a cool album, man. Probably, not the best cover, to be honest with you, but it is a good album. Maybe a little bit overlong. Probably could trim like maybe 1 or 2 tracks up of it, but still really cool. And then CC DeVille left. Richie Kotzen came in. Great guitarist and a good vocalist. He's done some good stuff since, but he was on guitars for this album, Native Tongue, and it's a bit more of a sort of blues roots sort of based album, but also like really cool. Stand was the original single. I think Until You Suffer Some Fire and Ice, I think that's super catchy, sort of ballady. Really do like that track, to be honest with you. 7 Days Over You, Bring It Home, Body Talk, Strike Up the Band. I mean, it's got some great tracks on it, man, to be honest with you. This was the last decent album they've done. They've done a few since then, like Hollywood and Crack a Smile and More, I think, was the other one of original material. This was the last decent original album they did. After this, I think Richie Kotzen was, I don't know, banging Ricky Rocket's wife or something like that, so he got kicked out of the band. But anyway, Native Tongue, it is a good album, and yeah, well worth a listen. And I've got like Swallow This Live as well, which is the live album they did. This one, there's a couple of different versions of this, I think. This one has got the bonus studio tracks on it. Some of them don't feature that. I think there's a double CD with more live tracks on it as well, but yeah, it's got 4 bonus studio tracks and a decent selection of live stuff from the first 3 albums. So that's pretty cool as well. And the last bits for today are the band Prodigy. I've got a few from them. Prodigy Experience, which is their first album, their raviest album by a long way, and probably, if I'm being honest, my favourite. Great memories of this at the time as well. Obviously the original Charlie, which is the first, most famous single that they did early on. Fire I really like, Jericho, really great track, Your Love, Hyperspeed, Everybody in the Place, Out of Space. It's just pretty much banging from start to finish from 1992, so that's really good. Second album, Music for the Jilted Generation, another quite ravey one, which is once again probably on a par with the first album, but not quite the same sort of memories for me. But yeah, still some really good stuff on it, like Their Law, Voodoo People, Poison, No Good Start the Dance, etc, etc. So that's really cool. And I have Fat of the Land, which is their third album. This one features such classics as Smack My Bitch Up, also obviously Firestarter, and Breathe was the other single from this one. I think Minefields is a really good track, and Narayan is a really good track as well. They're starting to get a little bit of filler on this one with things like Diesel Power and Fuel My Fire, Serial Thriller, for example. But yeah, not bad. It's half and half, I think, this one, from bangers and, not so much. And then the last one I have from them is this one here, Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned. They sort of not lost their way a bit, but certainly lost a lot of their popularity by this point, but still a good album. Spitfire's good, Girls is good, but yeah, it's a bit more fillery as well. But they've done other albums since which are pretty good, to be honest with you, but I don't actually own them yet, but I'll pick them up at some point. But yeah, this one's not bad anyway. It's still pretty cool, but not as good as their first sort of 2 certainly, and not even as good as Fat of the Land. But so that's that. Good band. Rest in peace, Keith Flint. I don't know if they'll do anything without him. I think they might be doing stuff, but we shall see. Anyway, that's the first part of my P's. There's quite a few to get through on those, and all the Prince videos as well. So I hope you like the video. Comment if you like the stuff that I've shown today, and what your favourites out of any of them are. And any of the stuff that I don't, by bands that I haven't shown, that you think that I should check out. Anyway, just write whatever you want in the comments, really, I don't mind. And if you like my channel, then please like it, and click the subscribe button as well. That'd be awesome, really helps out. You have a great weekend, and I'll catch you next week. Take it steady. Cheers. Bye bye.